Okay, we should be now live, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Committee of Adjustment meeting, May 17th, 2021. Welcome members of council and staff. Can I get someone to call the meeting to order? Moved by Councillor McDonnell, second by Councillor Jaworski. All those in favor? Meeting is called to order. Can I get an approval of the agenda as presented? Moved by Mayor Prevost, second by Councillor Lang. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Approval of the minutes of the May 3rd meeting. You've all had time to review them. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Lang, second by Councillor McDonnell. That the minutes be approved. All those in favor? Motion's carried. Thank you. Are there any declarations of pecuniary interest? Seeing none, moving on to item number 5, A10-21 Gray. Ms. Haley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening, everyone. I'm just going to share my screen. It'll just take me a minute here. Kelly, if you're on, can you please allow me to share my screen?
You should be able to share now, Joanne.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, sorry about that. So welcome everyone to our meeting this evening. For members of the public that are participating by Zoom or by phone, you will be permitted to speak to the respective application following my presentation. Prior to speaking, please state your name and address for the record. To make a comment, please use the raise hand function and the chair will call on you. If you've registered to participate in the meeting by phone, you will be asked if you would like to comment on the application after the applicable presentation. I now am obligated to read required wording under the Ontario Planning Act. So this is a hearing under Section 44 of the Ontario Planning Act. Any person may attend this hearing and or make written or verbal representation, either in support of or in opposition to the proposed minor variance. If a person or public body does not make oral or written submissions at this hearing before the minor variance is decided upon, the person or public body is not entitled to appeal the decision of the minor variance of the Committee of Adjustment to the Local Planning Appeal Tribunal, also known as LPAT. If a person or public body does not make oral submissions at this hearing or make written submissions to the Committee of Adjustment before the minor variance is decided upon, the person or public body may not be added as a party to the hearing of an appeal before the LPAT unless, in the opinion of the tribunal, there are reasonable grounds to do so. So we're going to start off this evening with application number A1021. This property is located at part of Lot 23, Concession 1, in the geographic township of Lancaster, now in South Glengarry, and it's located at 21110 South Service Road. This is a key map of the subject property. You can see that it runs on the south side of the South Service Road to the St. Lawrence River. It's very long and narrow in shape. And this is a view that we've taken from the road when the sign was erected. As you can tell, you can't see the buildings from the road. And we did not trespass onto the property to show the particular buildings. But the Committee of Adjustment has the right to view the properties at any time should they do so. So I'm now going to get started and explain a little bit about the history of this property, because this property certainly has gone through a lot of previous approval processes in order to allow development to occur. It's been subject to a provincially significant wetland review that resulted in an amendment to the boundary to create more of a building envelope for residential development. It also, an environmental impact study was completed to support that development, which then resulted in a zoning amendment to change the boundaries of the wetland and the floodplain. A severance was also applied for and approved, and then it was subject to site plan control, all before a single detached dwelling could be constructed on the property. The property is currently serviced by a septic system and a well. So the purpose of the minor variance this evening is the applicant would like to construct a detached residential garage and a gazebo that would be an accessory to the existing residence. The requested minor variance is to reduce the wetland setback from 30 meters to 16.58 meters to the northeast corner of the proposed garage and to 19.42 meters of the southeast corner of the proposed garage. Part 3.3912 also is triggered to reduce the wetland setback from 30 meters to 27.8 meters to the northeast corner of the gazebo and to 28.41 meters to the southeast corner of the proposed gazebo. This is a site plan of the existing site, and I tried to use some arrows to kind of point what's there. You can see the outline of the existing dwelling. Then you'll see a proposed gazebo that's to be created right beside the existing dwelling, and then the proposed detached garage. These numbers that are highlighted in yellow come from the survey that support what the minor variance request is. So the property is designated a residential district and provincially significant wetland in the county official plan. It does conform to the general intent of the official plan as it permits residential development. And the property is zoned residential 1, floodplain, and provincially significant wetland. And it does conform to the general intent of the zoning bylaw. The application was circulated to applicable municipal staff. Planning and building have no concerns with the application. The environmental impact study was updated in 2020 to support the development of the gazebo and the detached garage, as well as the reduced 30-meter setback from the wetland. The reason why the study was required to be updated is because anytime development is proposed within 120 meters of a wetland, and a study is required to make sure that the development can occur on the property without negatively impacting the wetland. The RCA has been involved in this process in terms of pre-consultation as well as review, and they have reviewed the application and they support the requested minor variance as long as an Ontario regulation permit is required to be applied for and issued prior to our building permit being issued if applied for. And to date, I've received no verbal or formal comments. So if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. And I do believe the applicant, Matthew Gray, is present at the meeting this evening as well. So thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Haley. Are there any questions of the committee members? I can't see everyone. Thank you. Okay, seeing that there are no questions, are there any? Yeah, Councillor Lang, go ahead.
Do you want a mover at this time, or are you wanting to see if there's any comments from the public first?
I'm just going to check to make sure that I have the attendees. Nobody at this time has their hands up, so I guess I'm ready for that, Mr. Council.
I'll move that we approve this thing.
Okay, Councillor McDonnell, are you seconding that motion?
Yeah, I second to move as presented.
Okay. I still see no hands up. All those in favor as presented? Motion is carried. Moving on to the next item, A11-21. Ms. Haley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I would like to start off before I introduce this application to make everyone aware that I had an error in the notice of the public hearing. The requested minor variance that was requested to increase the height from 4.5 meters to 7 meters. In the original notice that was issued, unfortunately, I added a 1 in front of it, and the typo resulted in the request of being a 4.5 meter increased height to 17 meters. So I'm very thankful of a gentleman who contacted me to let me know of the error, or he assumed it was an error because that seemed very high. So I appreciated that. And what I was able to do was issue a revised notice, as well as any calls that came in. I was able to advise the public that I did unfortunately have that error. So I'm now going to move on to introduce the application. This property is located at part of Lot 6, Concession 9, in the geographic township of Lancaster. And it's located in the subdivision of Lancaster Heights. And the exact address is 3891 Bernard Drive. This is a key map of the area. You can see this is Bernard Drive in this location. This is a dead end, and this is Beauchamp Drive coming into Lancaster Heights. And then we have a photo of the property. And this is a treed property. It's not developed as of yet. It was recently purchased. So unfortunately, we just don't have a more open photo to be able to provide to you, because this is exactly what the site looks like currently. So the purpose of the minor variance this evening is the applicant proposes to construct a detached residential garage. The applicant is also proposing to construct a single family dwelling, and the building permit for the dwelling has already been applied for. So if they proceed to apply for a building permit for the residential garage, a minor variance has been requested to allow to increase the maximum height from 4.5 meters to 7 meters, and to increase the maximum gross floor area from 100 square meters to 167.22 square meters. For those of you that work in feet, the maximum height would be 22.96, and the maximum gross floor area for the garage would be 1,800, and the proposed dwelling is 1,746 square feet. In working with the applicant, when they purchased the property, they did not realize that there was a maximum or a cap on what a residential garage could be in this location. And so when they applied for a permit, we weren't able to accept the permit for the garage until this application was applied for. So I'm then going to get into, I'll skip to this slide. So this is a sketch that was provided to us from the property owner. You can see the house location, and the septic tank will be in their front yard. Their driveway off to kind of the north end of the property, going to the house and going to the garage. And the garage is located approximately more than 100 feet off of the road. And then this is what the artist rendering looks like for the proposed residential garage. And the applicant is available to speak this evening, and the applicant's willing to share what he's proposing to do inside that garage and what required storage he has. So I skipped a slide here, sorry. The property is designated rural district in the county official plan, and the application conforms to the general intent of the official plan. And the property is zoned estate residential, and it does conform to the general intent of the zoning bylaw. The application was circulated to applicable municipal staff. The building department has no concerns with the application, and planning has reviewed this application very carefully and has noted that the proposed development conforms to lot coverage. We have a maximum lot coverage of every parcel of property, and in this case, as long as they don't cover more than 20% of the lot. It's also noted that no houses can be constructed immediately adjacent to the garage on the north side of the subject property or on the east side, as the east side is already developed more towards the road. And it is proposed to be set back from the road approximately 100 feet. To date, I've received several calls questioning the proposed use of the garage and the size of the garage. As I mentioned, unfortunately, I had that error in terms of the notice of the garage height. So I've been able to explain that to the individuals who have called. And the others who are looking for more information, I think we're looking forward to hearing from the applicant this evening to explain what the proposed use for the garage is. So at this point, Mr. Chair, if that's okay, if Mr. Jean-Michel is on the phone, that would be helpful if he would be able to speak to his application.
Okay, let me just.
Did I say on the phone, online? Sorry about that.
Okay, so, all right. Oops. Okay, Mr. Jean-Michel Sampson, are you there, sir?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I was pressing too many times. Did you have any comments that you wanted to add to the meeting?
Yeah, first of all, for the plan of the garage, it's not the good one.
Okay.
I have only one big door.
Okay. Okay. So does that change the minor variance, Ms. Haley?
No, it does not. So the picture that we've included was the picture that was submitted. So unfortunately,
Okay.
maybe we don't have the most up-to-date photo, but for the purpose of the minor variance, we wouldn't comment on the garage door. In fact, we don't even comment on the exterior look of the property. It would be more, we're looking at whether the committee wants to approve the height and the area.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. That's good. All right. So there are other members of the public who are on the meeting. I'm going to ask members of the committee if they have any other questions for Ms. Haley or Mr. Sampson. Okay. I'm going to open it up to anyone who is attending. If you could raise your, Kelly?
Right through you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. I'm not sure if I heard whether this was said at the beginning or not, but anyone, I noticed we have a few people who have called in. Anyone who's on the phone and would like to speak, you can press *9 to raise your hand and *6 to unmute yourself.
Okay, someone with the, go ahead, you're on mute. I think you have to press *9 to unmute yourself, Ms. Compo?
Yes, that's right, *9.
Okay, someone with a 450 number. Can you go ahead and state your name and address? You're still on mute. Go ahead, you're now live. Please state your name and your address, please.
Yes, my name is Bernie Knud. I'm the son of Mrs. Franz and Annie Knud on the 3898 Bernard Drive in Lancaster, right? I'm speaking on their behalf because they're not good at English. Since the plan has changed, the person just mentioned he changed the plan. I just want to know if there's only one door, what size of the door? What's the width of the door? Is it going to be a 20-foot wide, or what's the size of the door?
Mr. Sampson, can you answer that?
No, it's not one side. I'm gonna have 3 door, 2 normal door, and 1 biggest door for my boat. So it's going to be 12 feet large by 14 feet high.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Was there any other
3
questions?
doors, 2 small ones and 1 big one. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you have any other questions, Mr. Knud?
No, no other questions.
Okay. Thank you very much. Are there any other members of the public who would like to speak? Please raise your hand. I believe it's *6 on your phone to raise your hand. We have someone calling in from a 647 number, and it's *9 to unmute after you've raised your hand. Okay. There's also, okay. Well, I don't see any other individual. Oh, hang on. So, okay, Mr. Meldrum. Go ahead, Mr. Meldrum. Unmute yourself and please say your name and your address, please.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Paul Meldrum. I live at 3904 Bernard Drive, which is just down the street from the new lot being developed and across the street. And so I don't have any major issues because I was able to speak with Jean-Michel Sanson and his wife. My concern, of course, initially was that this was going to be used as a commercial garage. The only thing is the change of the design, which I still don't think is a major issue. It's just a little bit different than what was shown on the plan. As long as we know that there's not going to be operated as a commercial venture and you're going to be performing, mechanical work on other people's vehicles and increasing the traffic flow because of that, I'm fine with the issue.
Okay, that's perfect. I believe Councillor Jaworski had your hand up.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Deputy Mayor Warden. I think Mr. Meldrum, basically, he answered the question that I had. I just wanted to have a bit more information from the applicant, from Monsieur Sanson, about, what exactly, why it was such a large garage and what was sort of the intended use.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Haley, I had a question myself. So in our bylaws, the primary, like a residence permit must be applied for. You can't have an accessory building built before the house. What measures do we take to ensure that that's the case? So even though the applicant applied for the house permit, what do we do to ensure that the house will be built before the garage or simultaneously, so that they're not having an undeveloped property with a garage on it in a residential zone?
That's an excellent question, Mr. Chair. So first of all, we will not issue a garage permit until a house permit has been applied for and approved. We often have, I shouldn't say often, but it's not uncommon for people to apply for their garage and their house to be built at the same time. And what's required then is we'll allow them to pour both foundations at the same time. We never allow them to pour the garage foundation first or independently. Then we require the home to be built and framed. They can frame them simultaneously. If they're not, then the house has to be constructed to your main point before the garage can be constructed. So sometimes you will see the pouring of concrete at the same time because it saves money. You'll also see framing happening, but our building officials monitor it to make sure that the house has occupancy before the garage has occupancy.
Okay, great. Thank you for that explanation. I was just a little bit curious.
No problem.
Okay, so are there any other questions, Mr. Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a comment or a question, I guess, in regards to Councillor Jaworski's question. In respect, can Mr. Sampson just give us an idea of what the purpose or the use of the garage is for?
Yeah, Mr. Sampson, are you still there?
Yeah.
Yeah, the question was, what is the intended use of the garage, sir?
Oh, it's for storing my thing. I have a lot of toys. So I have a 30-feet boat. I have a 52 Chevy pickup truck. I have a 92 Mustang. I have 4 kids. They have a scooter. One have a Sea-Doo. It's to put everything, in the garage. So to have less outside of the.
So it's purely for personal use.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you very much. That's great explanation.
Thank you.
You want to be friends? That was a.
And I forgot the Harley Davidson, the Ski-Doo, and.
Okay, that's wonderful. Thank you for that. Councillor McDonnell, you had a question?
No, I was just going to say if there were no further questions, I'd move to approve it as presented.
And is that a second from you, Mr. Mayor? Okay, moved and seconded by the mayor. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you very much. And I believe that is it for this meeting. Next meeting is going to be June 7th, Ms. Haley. We have some more applications coming forward.
Yes, it will definitely be June 7th. The exact time is unknown. I only have one application to date, but I have another week to accept applications, so that could change. So it'll probably be a 6 p.m. or 6:30 p.m. meeting.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you all for attending. Can I get a mover to adjourn the meeting? Moved by Councillor McDonnell, second by Councillor Jaworski. Meeting adjourned at 5:53 p.m. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you at 6:30, right? For the public meeting?
6 p.m.
7 minutes.
Are we on the same?
Is it?